Garrisoning is one of the most fun things to do in Rise of Kingdoms. And it is so important for you to have good garrisons, good garrison players who know how to run garrisons, whether you're pushing flags, defending forts, defending the pass, even an arc. There's all kinds of ways to use garrisons. We now have Hector with Gorgo that allows us to do a lot of infantry mix now that really helps. Well, now we have the new Cav Garrison. And David the Fourth is going to change the game for you Cav players. And we're going to talk about how he's going to change the game overall in a lot of different aspects for Rise of Kingdoms. We're going to talk about what makes a garrison great, what makes it good, what makes it kind of good at certain things. And so stick around while we go through this video to talk all about the new Cav Garrison and what it means for you in Rise of Kingdoms. Hey everybody, I'm your boy War Daddy Chatsky. I put out these videos all the time. And if you enjoy these videos, please throw a thumbs up on them. Like the videos, they really help out the channel. And if you are not subscribed, consider doing so. Hit that subscribe button and join the 60,000 people who are already subscribed to the channel as we continue to grow it. I love doing this kind of content, and this is the stuff I really enjoy doing. Well, we're going to talk about garrisons, okay? And we're going to talk about the 5 tools that garrisons have to have. You have to have a 5-tool garrison, if you will, and certain garrisons are good at certain things. And now with the release of the new Cav Garrison, we kind of understand this thing as Cav players, right? We've never really had great garrisons. All right, back in the day, when it came to this game, we had a Garrison in Jadwiga. I didn't even invest in her, okay? Mainly because this was not meta. She was good for a little bit when you could put her with YSS back in the day, but it didn't last very long. Zizka came out and he was a good garrison that we used in certain situations, especially passes. You know, he was high damage and still considered pretty high damage. And so from that standpoint, we just did not have great go-to garrisons for cavalry. Eleanor came out. It was the same type of thing. I was so upset when Eleanor came out because she had no anti-swarm. There wasn't a whole lot of defensive stats on her. She had a little bit of defense here, but just super squishy and very hard to deal with. Now you compare her with Hera and you could use her for arc, and that's still being used today, but things are going to change because now it's totally different. After all these Cav garrisons, honestly, the best Cav garrison we've ever had, and I'll just be real with you, is Attila. And the only reason why he was any good, or the only reason why he worked, is because we used him in artifact KVKs with Gorgo. That's the only reason why. And so from that standpoint, we could use artifact KVKs. We could pair Attila with Gorgo, big smite damage over the top, especially when Attila bonuses all that normal damage for Gorgo to hit. It was kind of a perfect garrison. It was like a 5-tool garrison, maybe like a 4-tool garrison, but you couldn't use it for mix. But if you just went straight Cavs, it was super potent. So now we're sitting here thinking to ourselves, well, how are we going to do this as Cav garrisons? Because now they're going to give us a garrison for combo damage. And combo damage is not skill damage. It's not smite damage. It's kind of like smite damage because it gets enhanced by our boy here with normal damage bonuses. So let's go through David real quick, because this is the new Cav Garrison that's coming into the game, and we've got to talk all about him and what he's going to do. Okay, David the Fourth, we've heard about it, we've seen it, we've talked about it. I reviewed the skills. I'll have that card at the end of the video for you to take a look at. But overall, when it comes to this, we're in a situation to where we want to understand how this guy's skills works. And when you look at him, he is a combo damage commander, but here's the beauty. And this is what we've really got to understand. He is an AoE damage commander for a garrison. That is amazing. That is so good. I don't think people understand how powerful that is, because he's going to do a ton of damage and he's going to do it in an area of effect way. That helps for anti-swarm to an extent. That helps picking off reinforcement marches. That helps for the passes. Oh my gosh, it helps for the passes. Part of the reason why YSS has always been really good in the past is because he's got area of effect damage. He was good for a very long time. You run him with Zeno, put him in the pass. You could even run him with Hera, put him in the pass. When Zizka came out, you could run him with Zizka, put him in the pass. Same thing with some of these other garrisons that we've seen. However, now things have changed. Now we finally have an AoE combo garrison. Holy cow, let's go. We're going to talk about how that affects a lot of different things because it helps in a lot of different ways. Big damage, 2,800 damage targets. He's also got a little bit of a cleanse or a dispel, if you will. And the biggest thing with that is down in point number 5 at the bottom. Normal debuffs that Rallies put on the garrison, like where the garrison does 40% less attack. The garrison has 30% less damage or 30% less health for 3 seconds. Or all these different normal debuffs that we get on the garrison, he cleanses those, which is great. It is great. It's not an anti-silence or anything, but he cleanses a lot of those debuffs. Okay, we come into his second skill, and this is one of the things I love about David. He's very, very simple and easy to understand. There's not some crazy marquee effect. There's not some crazy, effect that's got to stack, the Toku effect. There's not some different thing that you got to do with him. It's just straight to the point. And with cavalry units, people understand this. 35% defense for cavalry is fantastic. It is great. Defense for cavalry is almost as good as health. That's how cavalry works. It's mainly because of their gear. Their gear is so good when it comes to the health. We've talked about this many times. We have so much health on this Cav. Look at this, 51% health from their gear. As opposed to the infantry has 0 health. Okay, that's why health is so important to infantry. Well, Cavs now have a situation to where they really love defense. So if you get defense on armaments, if you get defense on a commander, if you get defense on any sort of other aspect for cavalry, it is really good. And so that's what people have to understand when it comes to cavalry. 35% defense is a very good stat stick. All right. In addition to this, the serving commander as a garrison, you take 10% less skill damage. Okay, that's a little extra bonus because you're going to get hit, especially in swarms, with a bunch of skill damage. And it's also a counter to the Archer Rallies right now. We're running Archer Rallies with Shapur and Ash that do tons of skill damage. Well, you want to mitigate some of that skill damage, okay? So that is a kind of a counter to that, and that's worked out pretty well. His third skill, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. When you're serving it as a garrison commander, you're going to deal 10% more combo attack damage just throughout. Okay, we have to keep that in mind. That's perpetual. All right, well, since he does big combo damage, he's already kind of ramping it up for himself. And then whenever the garrison launches a basic attack, it deals combo attack damage to up to 3 nearby enemy troops. Okay, this is a proc. And if you see this and you see a cooldown of 3 seconds, okay, that's massive for combo commanders because they do instant procs so much more often than smite or skill damage commanders. And so a 3-second cooldown, you're gonna fire off this proc and just put red numbers out there like a lot. You're gonna do that like every 5 seconds. And so that just like adds to his damage that he's putting out, and it does it in an area of effect situation. Very simple. Like this is very simple for David. You come into his 4th skill, and this is one of the things you have to understand with David. Whenever the commander's troops uses an active skill, it's an active skill. It's not skill damage, it's not smite damage, it's not necessarily combo damage, it's just any active skill. While attacking a troop on the map, is a rally, okay? While attacking a rally or any other troop on the map, the target takes 40% more combo attack damage for the next 3 seconds. Cooldown of 5 seconds. Cooldown's really good. Typically for these types of skills, you get a cooldown of like 10 seconds. So a 5-second cooldown on this is great. Here's what this means. When you put David in a garrison, the secondary commander has to be a big combo damage commander. Has to. Whether that's David himself or another commander you put him with. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You can't go run David with Attila behind him. You can't go run David with Hera behind him. It's not going to do anything for Hera. Okay, and so from that standpoint, 40% is a massive combo attack damage. Okay, so we have to think about that. Whoever he's in the garrison with, you have to have combo damage as the secondary, okay? And then the expertise is really pretty simple. you're going to take 10% less damage, which is kind of okay. It's nothing amazing. But if the target has less than 50% of units remaining, the garrison does 5 more damage. Okay, so this is a 15% damage effect, if you will. And as we know in garrisons, especially for rallies that run anything longer than 30 seconds, you're going to get the target's HP. They're basically their units remaining below 50%. It's going to happen very quick. We have other commanders that do this, okay? We have other garrison commanders we've used that do this. You talk about Attila, same thing with his expertise, all right? Their troops deal 20% more normal damage to troops with less than 50% units remaining. That's great for a rally and garrison, and it's applicable. It's the same type of thing for Gorgo, okay? If you have 50% units remaining, whenever it launches a basic attack, it has a basic attack or counterattack has a 10% chance to gain a shield and then reduce the attack of up to 5 nearby enemy troops. So you have these effects when it comes to lowering the troop count in those marches, whether it's in a rally or in a garrison. So we've seen that before. So you look at his expertise and it works out pretty well. Now here's the application. This guy is so simple, okay? This guy is so simple. Let me come back over here as we get into the gang stuff. This guy is so simple. We're gonna tell you how he can be used because there are 5 key tools to what makes a garrison really, really good. I'll go through the first one right off the rip. Can you garrison versus swarms and sustain? Okay, those of us in competitive kingdoms, all right, we know how important it is to be able to punish swarmers and do some sustaining, okay? Be able to stay in the garrison for as long as you can. Those are two different conversations, but if you think about it, with David, we are in a situation to where when it comes to sustaining, okay, and when it comes to handling swarmers, we have the Attila effect. We run this guy behind Attila. Sometimes I don't think the game developers understand how Attila works. When they put Gorgo in the game and they gave us an artifact, they didn't realize that the Attila Gorgo was gonna be off the charts. When they put Scipio Aemilianus in the game and gave us an artifact, they didn't realize that Attila was gonna enhance Scipio Aemilianus, an infantry rally, to the highest degree and just hammer and punish garrisons. So with that being said, we have to understand how this thing works. Well, the beauty with Attila, whether you're running him as a rally or garrison, he's ramping up the normal damage, he's ramping up the counterattack damage, and then he's also got his 4 skill, which ramps up the all damage. Okay, he's got all these things that do massive damage to anybody that's hitting him. That's what makes him so great at counter rounds. That's what makes him so great at kicking back white numbers. Okay, he's very tanky because he adds another 15% less skill damage, but you do 30% less skill damage yourself. Well, you don't do skill damage with him, so you're good with that. Big attack bonus. Okay, and he's got some march speed, of course, in the field. That's great. He's also immune to silence. You can't silence Attila. So you apply the silence of Attila, you take the silence, and you also add to that silence, you add David's active skill to where he can't be debuffed. He cleanses debuffed. It's like it's an immunity type of garrison. So we got this immunity garrison that can't be affected by all these things, and you're going to deal 20% more normal damage as we talked about. Okay, it's unbelievable when you look at this, because 20% more normal damage isn't just about hitting the rally that's hitting you if you got Attila and Garrison. It's about the swarmers. If people are dumb enough to run their swarms down below 50%, you just punish them with more normal damage. Okay, so we have an Attila, David, massive answer to one of the first questions that you get asked: can you garrison versus a swarm? Now, the sustain part of that, you do have the stat sticks from David that add defense, but the beauty with Cavs, okay, even if you're getting full swarm pummel, all right, you're kicking out so much damage that the swarms are becoming less and less effective because they immediately go to 75% health and 50% health, and they just can't do as much damage to you. You're doing 25% collectively. You're doing 25% more of the skill damage reduction, which is great. And then at the same time, you're able to put enough damage on the rally to where it's not hurting you too bad. So it's got a different kind of sustain. It's not throwing up shields and it's not healing. It's got it basically it's basically defensive by being offensive, if you will. And with that, it is so much easier to reinforce with cavalry. So much easier. It's faster. It's easier. Like, I never have a problem with heavy rains on a Cav Garrison, have a problem people putting Cavs in, especially when it's just Cavs. Like, you can get it reinforced very, very quickly. And so that's the first question that we answer when it comes to David and the application with Attila. Now let's talk about him with Hector, okay? Because this is one of the things we have to understand when it comes to Hector in the Garrison, okay? I've got Hector maxed on my other account, and I'm using him with Gorgo, and it's amazing. Okay, Hector does massive combo attacks. All right, so you put Hector behind David. What did we say with David? With his what is it, fourth skill? All right, we want to make sure that he's got a situation to where am I here on David? On his fourth skill, we want to make sure that he has got a combo commander behind him. Okay, retaking the Caucasus. Okay, the combo commander's got to be behind him. Well. The beauty with Hector is that he's so versatile. He does massive combo damage, okay, of 1400. He does the same effect damage as David does, but he does it to a single troop type. But as long as you're hitting with a 40% bonus to combo damage, it's great. Now, the other viability that we have with Hector is the fact that he can be mixed. We've run it with infantry. Hector is the new mixed garrison when it comes to a troop-specific garrison. You run him with Gorgo, you can run him with mixed. Now we run him with David, and this is how it changes the game for you Cav players. You run them mixed, and that's how this thing works, okay? You got a 10% health bonus. You got a 30% defense bonus. So now all of a sudden, you're running the defense for Cavs up to 65% with a little bit of a 10% health on top of that. And then if you run mixed troops in his expertise, you also take 10% less smite, combo, and skill damage. So we're already taking 10% less skill damage from David. So you're starting to see where the tankiness kind of goes into play. Here's some normal damage. We love it from Attila. Well, you're going to love it from Hector. Okay. And then at the same time, you've got these weird side of things here to where you do extra combo attacks. Like, oh my gosh, tier 5 equipment and butterfly and doing all these combo attacks. Cause you know, David's got an instant proc. Okay. And it's only got a 5-second cooldown. Or a 3-second cooldown. Now we got Hector with an instant proc. It's got a 10-second cooldown, which we don't like, but you're just throwing out combo attacks all the time. And when you do that, you're just ramping up all your skills and all your procs and all your tier 5 stuff and all your armament stuff. It is crazy. It ramps up all your accessories, how often you can fire off the ring, how often you can fire off the horn, all those things. So there's so much viability with Hector. And part of the reason why it answers that first question is because can you sustain versus swarms? Well, can you do enough normal damage? Well, you can run arch with this and you can do enough normal damage, but the main thing is you can run it mixed. That's another element in how to sustain. I talked about Attila with David being able to sustain by kicking out so much damage and reinforcing with Cavs that are super fast. Now, the way you attain the sustain with Hector and you handle the swarms is you just dump anything you want in there. Anything you want. You're going to miss out on some defensive stats for cavalry when it comes to David, if it's only got like half cavalry in it. But it's like you don't even care. Just dump siege, dump archers, dump infantry. You can dump whatever you want in there, and it gives it sustain. Okay, that is a practical, mechanical way to address the sustain. You either sustain by being super tanky, by healing, by throwing up shields, or reinforcing like crazy. And an easy way to reinforce like crazy is to be able to reinforce with any troop type. That's what David and Hector bring to the table. So that's one of the first things that we talk about. The second thing, can you garrison versus rallies? Well, we'll talk about this first with Attila. Okay, can you garrison versus rallies? One of the best ways to combat rallies, and we've seen it with Attila Gorgo, is you run Attila primary and people think, well, he doesn't do damage, so he's not good against the rallies. Attila Gorgo has smoked just about any rally I've ever put it up against. Now rallies are changing, okay? And CPO Emilianus with William Wallace can maybe get it in the end. But now David, holy cow. You're gonna tell me that Attila with just straight calves and bonusing all this normal damage 30%. You've got all damage possibly 100%. Okay, you've got all these different things for Attila, and when you think about this, we're trying to figure out how that works with David. Well, you come over here to David's active skill, and that thing is doing big damage. Plus, on top of that, you're enhancing it with doing 40% more combo damage. So you're telling me when David hits behind Attila, he's gonna have a 30% bonus to normal damage. He's gonna have a 40% bonus to combo damage. He has a chance to have a 100% bonus to all damage. And that's just off the skills. Like, that's gonna be like an atomic bomb goes off. Like, rip the support rally. This thing will crush the support rally. First of all, it's Cavs. It counters archers. Okay, skill damage mitigation, all that stuff. So can a rally like this, or can a garrison like this win against a rally? Hell yes, no problem. Can't wait for that. Now we run this thing with Hector, and that's the other thing we have to understand, that you go run it with David and Hector, with Hector behind. Let me see here. I'm just gonna go to leadership, pull up Hector again. I've got him all the way down here at the bottom on my main. And you're doing so much damage, and you're enhancing so much normal damage. You're providing the defense bonus for Cavs. You can run it with mix and still trade good, but you can even run this with mono troop type and get the extra 10% all damage from Hector. Just so people understand, when you add all this stuff up, okay, you're doing 2,800 damage factor to the rally from David on his AoE. You're doing 2,800 damage factor from Hector. That's massive damage factor. That's like the highest. Like, Gorgo and Toku isn't that high. You know, Gorgo and Hector is really high, but it's not that high. You're talking about 5,600 damage factor. Holy jeez. And then you've got the cavalry 35% defense. You got another 30%. That's 65% of stats on defense alone. The cavalry loves. Then 10% health. Then you're able to do the extra damage factors here, okay? And it's unbelievable how this thing works, where you can trigger this thing and do an extra 200 damage factor, and then you've got it for David to do an extra 200 damage factor, and David's got a 3-second cooldown. Like, so it's just damage on damage on damage, nonstop, running combo attacks. And you got those huge stat sticks. Now we get some normal damage bonuses, okay? So now we get more prickliness. And from that standpoint, you can add 20% more normal damage, and it kicks out more damage in a swarm. And it does big damage, because the normal damage is going to enhance both Hector and David. And then on top of that, you run it with single troop type, 10% more damage. So you add that to the 10% more damage that David mitigates and becomes more tanky. So you've got a 20% all damage effect. It's crazy. Like, so can David and Hector go win against rallies? Mono troop type, no problem. Mixed troop type still does super, super well. Like I said, Hector has changed the game for infantry, changed the game for cavalry. You can run these things with mixed, and they're going to do extremely well. Okay, let's go to our third topic here. Can you garrison the pass? Oh my God. Here's the question everybody's got to know. Eleanor has only been good or even playable because you can use her in the pass because she's so squishy. She doesn't do any anti-swarm. You have to protect her. And in a pass, you can only hit the pass from 3 slots, basically 3 rallies or 3 marches. You can't swarm a pass. Okay, and that's why she's been relatively good. But now with David, holy cow, boys. We got a 3-target AoE. Like I said, the best thing for YSS and how he was good for so long is because now I'm going to do damage to 3 targets. This will be the pass garrison of the day for 2026. People are going to love this garrison in the pass. You run David mixed with Hector. You throw it in the pass. You will wreck in the pass. You will crush it. Whatever the target is, big damage. The other double rallies and triple rallies, you're just putting damage on them from the AoE of David. This will be an insane pass garrison. And if you want to get really nasty, if they're only single rallying you with a single rally and they're not doubling and tripling you, you just run it with Attila David. And you run mono troop types and you're going to crush the rally. You're going to absolutely crush it. But Hector's going to crush it too. And so from that standpoint, yes, one of the biggest questions we get into is, can you garrison the pass? Absolutely. The fourth thing we ask, can your garrison be mixed? Obviously, from the David Attila aspect, you cannot run mixed, okay? So the answer is no, but it is also with yes, because now that we have Hector in the game, we can 100% run it with mixed, and it's going to do really, really well. And so from that standpoint, you are good to go. And when you run it with mixed, you're going to just be more tanky, okay? And you're able to just dump troops in there and really still do well, even if you're getting double rallied in the pass or swarmed or whatever. Can you run it with mixed? The answer, absolutely yes, with Hector. Okay, so now we come in here. Can you garrison an arc? Let me just make this declaration known right now. The new meta for arc and OL garrisons will be, just telling you, will be David with Hector. It is going to be the new meta in arc OL garrisons, because the best OL teams are running Eleanor, especially on those attacking garrisons where you're going to take the structure on the other side of the enemy. You got to have something fast. Well, you can just run David with Hector, and just as the march, you just put Cavs in it, make it super fast, get it out there, get it in the garrison, fill it with mixed, and you are good to go. Absolutely good to go. So those are your 5 questions, okay? And this one particularly will change the game for OL and ARC. Everybody will be running David and Hector when it comes to the cavalry garrisons in OL and ARC. Okay, so that's changing. This is changing the game on so many levels. Passes, garrisoning an arc, running mixed with cavalry, all those things. So let's review those questions real quick, and then we'll talk about the armaments briefly. Can you garrison versus swarms the same? Hell yes. Attila with David, rock and roll. Come swarm that thing and get wrecked, okay? Can you sustain the swarms with Hector? Yeah, because you can run multiple troop type. Easier to fill, okay? Can you garrison versus rallies? You betcha. Too much damage and too many good basic stats and dispels when it comes to cleansing the debuffs and just doing massive damage. You can do it with Attila David or David and Hector, okay? Can you garrison at the pass? Are you kidding? 3 target AoE? Absolutely can garrison at the pass. Can you garrison mixed? Absolutely with David. It's going to be insane. And David and Hector especially. And can you garrison an arc? Yes. Now here's the other side of this, okay? For artifact KVKs, oh boy, you guys just get ready, okay? Because Arch is about to make a comeback when it comes to artifact KVKs. You are going to take David, and we are going to try him out with Gorgo, because you can do some crazy stuff. Now, Gorgo has to be primary. So you infantry players, just get ready. You don't want to invest in David. I don't advise you to. But if you happen to have David and you run a mean infantry garrison, you could put David behind Gorgo and go to town. Run all that normal damage up. Run the combo damage for David to take advantage of. He has to be secondary. You can't run this the other way around. You can't run David primary and Gorgo secondary. You got to run it with infantry primary. So the artifact with that will be nuts. Absolutely nuts. Okay? And so can you run David behind Toku? Probably. Like in a pass? Toku, David? Holy cow, that could be absolutely wild when it comes to the damage and when it comes to being able to do that. So we'll test out all that stuff. There are multiple different ways. Now, we'll talk about the armaments real quick, because this is one of those things that we have to understand when it comes to cavalry. You can run this with Delta or Arch. It doesn't matter. Delta's going to enhance the combo attacks. That's great. The only caveat I would say is that if you were going to run a heavy swarm flag with David and Hector, the preference would be to run it with Arch. That would be the preference, okay? If you're running it with Attila, you can run it with combo, and Attila's already going to do enough kickback damage, so you can do it with Delta, Attila, and David, or you can do it with Arch. And for David and Hector, you can run it with combo. It's going to be great. But for more anti-swarm, you can also run it with Arch. So those are the kind of armaments you want to look for in the David Garrison. David is going to change this thing, guys. I'm so excited about this because we haven't had a Garrison cavalry commander that I have been excited about like ever in the game. And I'm finally excited about him. Not just him, but what you can do with him behind Attila, what you can do with him with Hector, what you can do with him maybe an artifact KVKs with Gorgo. Like, bring it on. This dude is going to change the game in multiple facets. Arc, passes, being able to garrison in Kingsland. Like, you don't see Eleanor's in Kingsland. Are you kidding me? Anyways, if y'all enjoyed this video, please throw a thumbs up. Get down in the comments. I love interacting down there. Also, if you haven't joined my Discord, the link is in the description. You can click that link, join the community. We've already been talking about this for days now since the release of the new David skills. So, have to tell you guys how much I love and appreciate you. Love doing this content. Any feedback I love. I am so accessible. Whether you're pinging me in my own Discord, shoot me a PM, get in the comments. I love to interact with everybody. It's just my style. I try to do it. And so with that all being said, I hope you have a great day, broskies.